Welcome back to a conversation with Junior Ezeonu, and I'm very lucky to have today my good friend on the podcast, Mr. Kendyll Locke.
Yes,
Kendyll,
sir.
welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, brother. I'm proud to be. I'm glad. I'm honored to be
man.
here in the studio with you. Yeah, man. I'm glad.
I
Thanks for
appreciate
having
you.
me.
Appreciate you being here, guys. Kendyll, I'm so excited for this. Kendyll's one of my closest friends, not just in the political arena, but a brother to me. Let me tell y'all a little bit about how we met. So I met Kendyll back in 2021 when I was campaigning. Actually, let's start right here. Y'all won't believe this, but Kendyll has accomplished so much, and the guy is significantly younger than me. People always talk about, Junior, you're one of the youngest council members, and all. I'm like, thank you. I appreciate that. But Kendyll Locke is 24 now?
23.
23.
Just turned 23 in August.
He just turned 23. Yeah. He's been involved in politics since you were like, what, 11, 12?
Yeah.
11 years old. You currently serve as Jasmine Crockett's Deputy Chief of Staff. Well, I call you just the chief. He's the chief. He serves as Jasmine Crockett's Chief of Staff. You served as Jared Williams, Councilmember Jared Williams, District Director.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
When he first got on council in Fort Worth.
Yep.
You've worked on Janice Sanchez's campaign. You've done a lot, Kendyll.
Yeah.
What made you get involved in politics at such your early and young age?
Yeah. Well, man, you was rattling off all of my accomplishments, and we need to get into some of yours. But yeah, I think for me it was just like politics has always been something that I was interested in and that I was curious about. And I had the very fortunate pleasure of having a childhood best friend at the time whose mom served on city council in the city of Fort Worth. And so she ran for office when I was very young. And I had an opportunity to be able to experience that up close and personal and work on that campaign. And so in working in her campaign pretty intimately in 2017, I was like, okay, you know what? I kind of like politics.
Nice.
And also, too, in 2016, what a lot of people probably remember at that time, we had an interesting guy become the president of the United States.
In 2016. Let me guess. Who was that?
Yeah,
I'm sure
who was it? I think he's serving another term. But nevertheless, he, of course, became president. And I'll never forget sitting in my political science class. It was freshman year for me.
Wow.
Sitting in my political science class. And I was like, you know what? I think I need to do something. Like I need to be part, or I need to figure out how I can be part of like creating some sort of change and really helping to drive electoral politics. And so essentially it was a mix of course, that particular election, presidential election, of course, having the experience from working on my aunt, shout out to Kelly Allen Gray, working on her
Councilwoman
Kelly Allen Gray. Yes, respect on her name.
That's right.
But no, having the pleasure of working on her campaign, and in 2017 was doing stuff that was just like, okay, I was staffing her at different things, and I was block walking, and I was doing all that stuff. But then it really kind of materialized into, bigger things. And so I started managing her campaign and managed her campaign in 2019, went on to manage her campaign in 2021. But then that brought other opportunities where I had the opportunity to work with different political action committees. You mentioned Janelle Sanchez, who was running for Congress back in 2021 in a special election, worked on her campaign, but started to build just this large kind of expansive portfolio of working on campaigns, whether it was a school board race, a justice of the peace race, a judicial race, a statewide race, a state rep race. But I've just always been fascinated by politics, and not really the campaign side of things, but recognizing that like politics affects your daily life, whether or not you want to like acknowledge it or not. Like you may not want to be part of politics, you may not want to do politics, but like it is something that truly affects you. And so for me, I want to be part of that process, and I want to be someone that can be behind the scenes, be part of that sausage making, and actually, yield some change, some positive change for my community.
Kendyll, you made a really good point about how politics affects our day-to-day lives on every level, whether it's the school board, city council, the federal members of Congress, your state representatives. Politics impacts us daily, whether we like it or not. How do we convey that to you're 23, I'm 26. How do we communicate that to other young people to get them involved electorally? Not just with running for office. We want them to run for office. We want them to be engaged in that way, but just to vote Our voter turnout for young people is abysmally low every election cycle.
Yep.
What are we doing wrong? What do we need to do better?
Well, we just need to like speak in language that is understandable to people our age. Like, I don't know about you, but like, I mean, well, it's similar for us. Like, we both were interested in politics at a very young age. We both had an opportunity, whether it was through internships, whatever. Like, we had lived experiences that informed our like influence or decision to say, hey, we want to be part of politics. Like, when we talk to the average person my age, like, they getting out of or getting out of college. They may still be in college. They trying to figure out like, how am I going to get a job? Like, where do I need to go work? Like, you know, how am I going to afford this apartment? How am I going to afford the student debt that I'm now faced with? Like, we have to start talking about issues that truly matter to like our generation. And so I think a lot of that comes in just really taking the time to understand like what's important to you. Like, we can't make these assumptions that like all of these, you know, big name issues are going to be important to every single person. Like, that's just not reality. So I think it's about really taking the time to understand like, hey, like, what's important to you, and let me break down to you like how at the state level, like this is what's happening, and this is what affects that issue. Like, let me break down how your city council plays a role in that. Let me break down to you how your member of Congress, you know, plays a role in this. Like, I think we just have to have those very real and authentic conversations, and really be intentional about like not just coming around during election time. Like, I think we say that a lot, and we say that in every election that, oh, you know, we have to do better as elected officials or politicians or as candidates.
But why don't we do it?
Right. We got to put it into practice.
Exactly.
And so I think, at least for me, one of the biggest things, and I think the same for you, like why you've even been like successful as a council member, is because you've taken that time to be able to appeal to all constituency groups. Like, recognizing that like the way that you show up and you serve your senior citizens is not going to be the same way that you show up and you serve like people our age. And that's not to say that the level of service is different or inadequate, but that's to say that you're approaching those issues in very different ways. And so again, I just think it's about how do you tailor yourself for the needs of that specific community, because every community, like we talk about, like we say it a lot in the Black community, that like Black people aren't a monolith. Okay, our issues aren't a monolith.
That's right.
So like, I care about healthcare, but me caring about healthcare is much different than my grandmother, because healthcare for my grandmother is, you know, the fact that, you know, she, you know, may be on, you know, a government plan.
She might be on Medicare. Yeah. But for you, you're just trying to afford your health insurance you're getting through your job.
Correct.
Or trying to make sure that your copay is not outrageous. Correct. Or your deductible is manageable.
Correct.
These are the issues. So let's speak to that.
Okay.
About meeting people where they are.
Yeah.
I think politicians across the board struggle to meet people where they are, because they put people in these different arbitrary boxes. Oh, you're Black, you're going to like this specific policy. Oh, you're young, you're going to like this specific policy. And forget that people, like races, are not a monolith. We're all our individual people. We're complicated, but at the same time, we're simple. A lot of us do want similar things: good schools for our children, safe communities. We want walkable cities to an extent. We want to be able to just get home safely and have good jobs, good paying jobs, right? How do politicians meet people where they are? Kendyll, you're not a politician yet, but I know you're going to be a member of Congress in the next couple of years. We know that. But how do we meet people where they are? Yeah.
I mean, I think I think it takes like, so backtrack. I think first it starts with the mentality. Like, you have to have the mentality of recognizing what we just said, that you have to meet people where you are.
That's right.
Because we have a lot of elected officials that don't have that mentality. The mentality that a lot of them like possess is that, oh, like, I'm the elected, so I know what's best. I'm the policymaker, and so whatever I put forth, if it's good for the community in my eyes, then it's good. And so they don't have that self-reflection, if you will. So I think that that's one. Like, it's a mentality of that respective elected official. But also, too, it's about the makeup of your staff. Like, everyone knows that like one elected official ain't doing all of this work. They're just not. That's not to say that they're not setting the vision and setting the goals and holding the team accountable, but it goes to that word that I just mentioned, a team. It is a team effort. And so I think that it is about ensuring that the teams that they build is reflective of the communities in which they serve. You talk about, of course, the fact that I'm 23. I currently serve as Deputy Chief of Staff for Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett.
Chief.
That is
the chief, the number one chief.
That is unheard of, though.
Exactly.
For a United States member of Congress,
A prominent United States member of Congress,
to have their number 2 in their office be 23.
Yeah.
That is unheard of.
I love it.
But like that shows not only like the fact that like the Congresswoman believes strongly in that of like young leadership, but recognizing that we do serve a population in our district, in our almost 800,000 people that we serve, that like I can go into some of those communities and have some of those conversations that she may not be able to have. Or I'm able to help better inform her policy decisions based on my lived experiences as someone who is a Gen Zer compared to, her generation. So again, I think it's about mentality. I think it's about your staff. And I think it's about continuing to always create those opportunities for feedback. Yeah. You just hosted a town hall the other day. Like, we have to be deeply entrenched in these communities and creating tables and creating spaces for people to come to us and say, hey, here's the issues. Here's what we want to see. And let's like work in lockstep with them, because politics is about partnership, or at least it should be about partnership.
That's right.
So partnership with community, partnership with stakeholders, whether it's corporate, whatnot, it's about partnership. And so I think it's about how do you be a convener? Like, yeah, you're a policymaker, you're all the things, but how do you be a convener of thoughts, different thoughts, to essentially influence how you step into your service and you lead?
Man, you're so brilliant. So brilliant. 23 years old, guy. 23 years old.
I'm trying to be like him, y'all. Where my Kim? I'm trying to be like him.
No, we're all doing our jobs and just helping uplift the issues and uplift young people. I want to speak to something that you just brought up about just the relatability of politics.
Yeah.
A lot of elected officials do the job of being elected officials. They'll go to their council meetings if they're on the city council. They'll go and serve well in the United States Congress or the state capitol here in Texas, but they struggle to make politics relatable.
No.
What I've learned is for you to win over people, for them to continue to elect you and trust you when it comes to policy, they have to trust you when it comes to just personality.
Yeah.
When it comes to you seeing them as equals, seeing them as people. Far too often, leaders, we have this ego. And we believe that we know better than everyone else. Rather, it's the community that is living day to day in their neighborhoods that know better than us. And that's why when I'm campaigning, I'm knocking on doors, I'm having conversations with voters, and I'm asking them, what can I do to make your life better? What is an issue impacting your community that I can take back to the city council to improve your quality of life, which is what I think any elected official should do. But not just that, we have to make politics more fun. And make it more engaging, whether that's being on social media, whether that's, like you said, with the town hall, or not even just a town hall. Have a community event in the park. Every year I do
your basketball event.
Yeah, my basketball event with the kids, allowing the teenagers to play ball against the police department. And we have food. We have the Dallas Mavs come in. We create an environment where people see politics as integral with their day-to-day life, and not just I got to go to City Hall to learn what's happening, or I got to go to a town hall meeting that happens every now and then. You can reach out to me on social media. You can contact me. We can talk on the phone, or you can come to my basketball game, or you can come to my picnic in the park, or you can come to whatever. That is how we bridge that gap, but we show people this is your day-to-day life.
Well, and it's about providing access. Like, that's what it boils down to at the end of the day. Like, I think one of the main reasons why so many people have not been involved in politics is because it's like, this is this hard process that I'm not able, like, it's not attainable for me. And I think when you talk about the things that you do in the community, like, you have to be deeply entrenched in your community. And again, recognize that every part of your community is different. Yeah, I mean, it just is. And so I think, you have to always keep in the back of your mind, like, what are those things that I can do innovatively that's going to continue to get people to say, you know what, like, I traditionally wouldn't like engage with my council member or my school board member or whatever it looks like. But like, you know what, I am. So I think it's just about being creative. And I think that what we're seeing now and just kind of, coming into or now being in kind of like Trump 2.0 and seeing a lot of folks waking up, if you will, I think you're seeing communities that are begging that leadership, or begging for that kind of leadership, and requiring that kind of leadership. And so, personally, and I will say that my comments do not reflect those of Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett or our office, but you have to put that in there.
Yes,
But I will say that I think next year is going to be an interesting year, from a midterm perspective, but I think also too for the municipal elections that are to take place, because I think there has been, in my opinion, for so long a negative associated with the term progressive.
Yeah.
And personally, I don't consider myself to be a ultra progressive or super progressive, but I think you're going to start seeing a lot of people, whether it is younger people or just people who have a different approach to, or different set of lived experiences that they will bring with them into their political journey. I think you're going to just see a lot more of that going into next year, and as we continue on this journey of politics for years to come, because again, people are wanting to be involved in part of the process, and they're not wanting to subscribe to those archaic kind of systems that has traditionally dominated the political space.
Yeah. And I see myself as a progressive, obviously. I call myself a pragmatic progressive, because we are confined to a system, and we have to work within that system to create the best results for everybody. That's how I look at it. But I think your point is very well taken. Next year will be a year where we see the most shift and change within the Democratic Party. I think the Republican Party's seen their shifts and changes. And I think people don't understand that this moment that we're living in, folks want authenticity. They want realness. They want someone that will be able to roll up their sleeves and actually get the work for the people, and won't just try to be a comfortable politician. They want someone that's actually going to fight. Voters are looking for fighters. They're looking for advocates, strong personalities. Not that you're going to get in someone's face and cuss them out, but that you're going to go to Washington, or you're going to go to Austin, or you're going to go to the Grand Prairie City Council, and you're going to demand that we do this stuff for the people. For, by, and of the people.
Correct.
That your job on a day-to-day basis is not to serve yourself or serve donors. It's to serve the people that put you in office. I tell people this all the time. The power belongs to the residents, to the people. The power is in the people's hands. But for too long, we've abdicated our responsibility and allowed special interests, or allow these other bigger groups to come in and demand our politicians do what they tell them to do. No, we vote for those politicians. We put them in office, and we can take them out.
And there's only one group of people that can elect or unelect.
That's the people. That's right.
There's only one group that can do that. And the fact that people that elected officials often forget that and get so caught up in themselves is beyond me, because it's just as easy as it was for you to get in office, that can be gone once your term is
immediately
done. And we've seen it happen consistently. I mean, even when we go to your seat, for example, you took out an incumbent, someone who has served not just one term, not just 2 terms, not just 3 terms, but has served numerous terms. But again, when you show not just a different option, or contrary, to whoever is currently going, but when you show that there's someone that is truly going to be there and take the time, one, not only to listen to the concerns of the people, but who will make a conscious effort to say that I'm going to be the people's champ, if you will, that's what's needed. That's what people want. So people are begging for it. They really desire it. And I think 2026 we'll see it on the Democratic side. At least we're going to see that more. And that goes to a question I've always wanted to ask you, because you're someone that swims in these waters much deeper than I do. What can the Democratic Party do to win back the trust of regular American voters? Regular Americans. We know we have people on the left, people that are liberals, people that are progressives. What does the Democratic Party and Democratic elected officials need to be able to communicate in a way that shows people that we hear them, that we're here for them, that we want to lead them, but we also respect them as individuals? What do we need to do? I think you pretty much named a lot of it. I think it goes back to realness. I think for so long you've had Democratic elected officials who subscribe to this narrative of, I have to try to sell you, even if I can't score a win, or even if I can't get anything done, I need to try to sell you that I'm at least doing something or whatnot. And I think this may sound bad, but I think we've also spent a lot of time focusing in on this grand idea of bipartisanship. And don't get me wrong, like, you know, I think there is a time and a place for common sense leadership. I think there is a time and a place for saying, hey, how can we reach across the aisle and try to get things done? But like, we are living in some screwed up times. Like, I mean, like, this shit is crazy. And like, to think that any Republican will want to work with any Democrat right now is just a crazy idea. And so I think when you talk about, you know, they want to see fire, people want to see fire, like, I think we have to show that, like, you know, one of the things that we heard last year was that, oh, Democrats are weak. They're weak. They're weak. They're weak. We have to show that we're not weak. And you only do that by, you know, doing things like this, sitting down and having a real unfettered kind of conversation that really pulls back the curtains and really take a deep dive into all the things, whether it's policy, whether it's our campaign failures, our campaign wins, really evaluating how we've won and how we maybe have it in certain areas. But I think it just goes back to us. We have to be very real in this moment with our messaging. So like how we're communicating to people, but also like how we are receiving communication, like, into the party. And then too, I also think it's about like how we show up consistently, or how we show up in ensuring that we're doing that in a consistent manner. So again, like we talked about earlier, like this whole idea of only showing up when it's time to campaign or when there's an election. But like, we have to be deeply penetrated in these communities nonstop, meeting the need and whatever that need is. And so I think, you know, we'll see. I mean, I just think things are becoming more and more polarized. And so I think with that, we have to kind of, the Democratic Party has always been a party that accepts everyone. And I think we can do that. I think that's fine. I think we can be the safe haven, because we know the Republican Party isn't that. But I think we have to be the party that has, what are our three issues? And even if it's not three, even if it's the one or whatnot, but I think that's what got us last election. Like last election, Republicans stood for what? They or what was their big kind of chanting against? It was abortion.
The border. Close the border on immigration, and then Trump ran on a very economic focused campaign.
Correct.
No taxes on tips.
Correct.
Bringing back manufacturing jobs. No taxes on Social Security. Several economic issues. Whether people like it or not, the tariffs. He ran on the tariffs.
Right.
Democrats, for whatever reason, we just struggle to have centralized messaging.
Correct. And it was all over the place.
It's all over the place.
Again, when you have a message like that, or not have a message like that, but when it's perceived that like you're all over the place, you're scatterbrained, if you will, like it gives this illusion that like, well, do you really got your stuff in order? Like, do you really?
Why should I support you if you don't even know what you support?
Well, correct.
I mean, that's what it looks like, because if you ask someone, what does the Republican Party stand for? They're going to talk about tax cuts. They're going to talk about pro-life. They're going to talk about closing the border. Ask them what the Democratic Party stand for. I'm not really sure. I think they like a lot of things, but we don't know what they're advocating for. And then the other thing is, and whether we like it or not, this is the just the honest to God truth. Democratic politicians are perceived as weak and not fighters, right? Republican politicians are perceived to be people that fight like crazy. You know, we have a few Democrats that are perceived to be strong, like Congresswoman Crockett. But generally, people see Republicans fighting for whatever they believe in. They will fight tooth and nail to make sure it comes into fruition. Democratic politicians are very quick to concede or just comply. Not even to get a compromise, just to concede and to comply with what Republicans ask for.
Well, and even with the Congresswoman, for example, like, so going back to like the whole question, like people love the Congresswoman because of the fighting spirit. If I was to do a poll of 100 people and say, name me one bill that the Congresswoman has passed, they can't tell me. Now, that's not to say we haven't passed any legislation, because we have. But again, like, people they don't care about that. Like, they care about what they see on the outside, which is, are you fighting for me?
That's right.
And are you showing up for my community? And if you can do that, you've won the battle. And so I think when we talk about, like, if we were to go back to last year, if we're talking about like why we're in this predicament that we're in now, like Trump gave the illusion that like he was this big, strong fighter. But his policies are horrible. His policies do not help anyone, or at least our communities. They don't help the everyday person and 90% of the people that was voting for him.
If you're not wealthy, it's not helping you.
Correct.
But what does he do? He gets into office on day one, passing all those executive orders, pushing that through. At least he's given the perception that he's fighting. Our side, we're just sitting there looking at him. And when we're in office, we're telling voters, well, guys, we can't do this because it's unconstitutional, or this we have to follow this process or procedure. Trump comes in and says, I'm going to do what I want to do. Let the court stop me, right? And we say, well, let's see if the court stops him. Half the time, the court doesn't even stop him. The court gives him a stay and lets him go until they look at it at a different date. We need to fight. We need to advocate and show people, hey, you may not agree with me. This thing about American voters. They may not agree with you on every policy, but they want to see you advocating. They want to see you fighting for what you believe in, and in turn, convince me that this position is what I should also adopt in my life.
If you're gonna go down, you got to go down with a fight, and that's ultimately what it is. And I think to be in this particular moment and to not at least put up some semblance that you're fighting, I think you really have to like reevaluate. Are you serving in as an elected official? Like are you built for this particular moment?
And not everybody is,
and that's okay. And I think like we have to recognize that again. Like I don't think anyone could have predicted like how all of this would have went down, how things have gone down this year. I don't think anyone could have predicted that. And it's fine. But again, there's leaders and there's people who are able to do this fight. And, you know, I mean, if that requires some people having to scoot to the side, then that's what it requires. But again, I just think we can't afford to just continue to sit by or sit idle and just kind of say, oh, well, you know, there'll be another election in 2028, or, oh, you know, hopefully we'll win back the House next year, or, oh, we'll, like, we have to be very intentional about, like, what are those things that we can do in the immediate to, like, really provide some sense of relief, or at least some sort of calming measure for people, because people really are scared and people really don't know what to do and, like, what's going on. So.
And people are looking for direction. They're looking for leadership. This is the time for leadership. I was talking to someone within the city earlier this week, and I was talking about how there's two types of leaders, or you call them leaders. You have people that are leaders. You have people that are bosses. A boss just wants to come in and tell you what to do. They'll never take responsibility when things go wrong, but they'll take the credit when things go right. Then you have a leader. A leader will come in and go with you. They'll work with you. And when we succeed, we all succeed. They share the praise. But when we fail, they take it on the chin and they own it. In this moment, we need real leaders. We need real leaders in our party. The Republican Party, they need real leaders too. They need people that are going to come and work together. And when we disagree, we disagree. When we compromise, we compromise. Cool. But America needs leaders everywhere. And that's what I love about, you know, our conversation. You're 23, I'm 26. We're the future leaders for this country in one form or another, whether we serve at the federal level one day, or whether we serve at the state level one day, or whether we're just local, or you serve as the chief of staff for a prominent member of Congress. We are the leaders that are going to shape this planet and move this planet forward. So it's imperative on us, you and I, it's our duty, it's our job to find others and support them. The same way you supported me back in 2021. This guy Kendyll donated $250 to my campaign when I was desperate for money back in 2021 when I was first running. But that's the leadership right there. You were what, 18 then or 19? 20 minus 23 minus 4. You were 19. 19 back in 2021. But that's what it's all about. It's all about finding ways to support those future leaders because this is going to be our planet to live on for a very long time.
And it's contributing to the ecosystem. Like, I think I'm glad that you brought that up, because I think, like, we have a responsibility, and anyone that may be watching, like, who, like, is a young leader themselves, like, we have an obligation to ensure that, like, this ecosystem doesn't die. And so how are we bringing up people behind us? How are we ensuring that like we're going and we are having those conversations and building that talent? Because again, like we're going to get to a point to where, you know, we want to be chilling on the golf course.
That's right.
You know, but again, that's a responsibility that I think wasn't really taken as seriously, you know, some decades ago, which is why we're kind of in some of the predicaments that we're in now. Because I think when you look at the Republican side, I think that they have spent a lot of time in building talent.
Yes, they build the bench. We don't.
Whether that's from, you know, elected officials that are coming up, whether that is operatives, so campaign operatives, whether that's just staff, legislative staff, commentators, whatnot. Like they intentionally take the time to say, hey, we're going to impart everything that we have into you because we can't afford to allow this to die. We have to do the same thing on our side. And I will say specifically as African Americans and as the African American community, we have to do a better job at realizing that like our work cannot be siloed and that like going to what you mentioned earlier, like we can't just be the leader that says, oh, we want to, you know, take credit for everything that goes well. Like we got to recognize that like a win for our community is a win for our community, period. And so I think just in this moment while we're talking about the policy dangers that we're experiencing and the shortfalls and the hurts that are coming to us, like this also should ignite us to say, hey, who are those people in these communities that can carry on this work? And how do we ensure that we're equipping them with what they need so that like we are building our apparatus and we have it strong so that when we come time for 2026, 2028, 2030, these off years in which we have municipals, we're starting to stack the deck as Republicans have done, or people outside of our community have done for years,
decades,
a century.
Yes,
centuries. Yeah, so
100%. No, you're 100% right. I want to talk about how the job as being the chief of staff, deputy chief of staff for Congresswoman Crockett looks like. How is it working for the Congresswoman and serving in that role?
Yeah, I love working for the Congresswoman. So it's interesting because a lot of people on the Hill, you know, there's the culture of where you start out as an intern and then, you know, from an intern, maybe you get hired on as a staff assistant and then maybe you become a legislative assistant and then maybe the ledge director and then you become the chief or the deputy or whatnot. And so a lot of people were trying to figure me out because when I first got onto the Hill, I came on as deputy. Yeah. And so a lot of people didn't understand that.
21-year-old deputy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were like, what, 21?
Actually 20. I was 20. So the Congresswoman got elected November, officially became the Congresswoman elect November of 2022. I had turned August of 2022. I turned 20.
Wow.
And so it was interesting. I will say I had a conversation. I've never really shared, or I've never shared this publicly. I had a conversation with the Congresswoman. They do a thing called new member orientation. And I'll never forget, we were leaving one of the sessions. It was the last week of new member orientation. We were leaving one of the sessions. And so I asked the Congresswoman because we hadn't really had a conversation about what all my role would entail. Like we were just having a conversation. You know, she was telling everyone I was going to be her deputy. And so I was like, what does this mean? Like, what do you want me to do?
What does it look like? What does this look like?
Am I about to do like legislation all the time? Like, am I about, like, what am I doing? And she was like, you make the position, you know, yours. You create that path and you make it what it needs to be. And so I've truly had the opportunity to do just that. You know, I now, of course, have a much expansive portfolio compared to when I initially started with the Congresswoman, in that I now oversee our district operations. So everything from constituent services to our outreach function of our office, you know, our relationships that we have with our nonprofits, with our cities. So all of our municipalities, we serve 12 cities in the district and 2 counties. So our relationships with them, of course, stewarding federal funds and federal funding with them. But it's been interesting because the role has evolved. I started out being based in the DC office, and then that changed to me doing some back and forth, and then being solely based here in Dallas or in the Metroplex, and now I'm now continuing to do that back and forth. I have the opportunity to still lead a lot of our efforts on the political side of things. So even last year, as we were moving about in that presidential year, supporting folks on the House side.
Y'all were traveling all over the place.
Yeah, we was all over the place, but had the opportunity to really kind of build out those different things for her and those movements for her. So I love working for the Congresswoman. It's funny because I started at the top saying that, of course, I was interested in politics. I love politics, all the things, but I never really saw myself in DC, and that wasn't really a goal of mine. When I worked for Jared, I was like, I'm going to continue doing this. I graduate, college December of 2022, and when I finish, I'm going to go to law school, and then I'm going to make some big money being like an attorney. So never really expected to end up in DC, but I will tell you that it is something that I still pinch myself every day because, again, it is so surreal to be able to have a front row seat at like all the things that are happening in our government, but especially like at this point in time. So yeah, man, but it looks like a lot of different things. I mean, it looks like writing remarks one day. It looks like going and showing up, at a community event and, being there. It looks like, hosting a meeting with a constituent on a respective policy matter. It looks like pulling together a community event for the office. It looks like being in DC. We were just there for Congressional Black Caucus annual legislative conference.
That's right.
It looks like pulling together those engagements for that week and curating panels and spaces for young Black professionals in this space to be able to convene. It looks like a lot of different things, but it's all rooted in service. And of course, making sure that at the end of the day, like I recognize or reminding myself every day that like we represent communities that depend on what we do. And without us, like,
there goes our community.
Yeah. So there's just a certain level of responsibility that, I carry with me, or sense of urgency that I carry with me every day as part of my role, to ensure that like I'm doing and serving people in the way that I need to. So
you're doing a good job, man. I'm very proud of you. Very proud of you, man. But I love that after you got done working on the campaign for the Congresswoman, she gave you an opportunity to come with her to DC to serve as her deputy chief of staff. And that's what I got to tell people about Congresswoman Crockett. That lady believes in the next generation.
She does.
Believes in preparing the next generation for leadership. When I was running for council, she was a state representative, and she was in the midst of her first legislative session. She shot me a message on Facebook, said, "Hey, when I'm back in the district, I want to come out and campaign with you." Supported me. We became very good friends following my campaign, my election. And she was just someone I could call. I could ask questions, I could learn from, I could mentor. And whenever she comes back to the district, she would invite me to sit on a panel with her, talking about, I remember I came to one about the USDA and the farm issues and agricultural and environmental issues that they deal with, and different things in the community, just the opportunity. I've been beyond grateful because it's helped shape me as the leader that I am today. So Congresswoman Crockett, thank you for your continuous work.
Yes.
Thank you for your efforts. Thank you for your leadership. And thank you for helping bring people with you. That's what I want us to conclude this podcast on, is bringing people with us as we continue to climb in the political arena and political space, and we're excelling and doing the leadership that's necessary for our community. What do we have to do to, I don't know if it's inspire the next generation, but what advice can you help give the next generation of young leaders that want to be sitting in the positions of office that we have and that we hold, and to have these heavy responsibilities on their shoulders? What advice can you give them as a 23-year-old politico that's changing the world, and that will be probably the president before he's 35? Well, you got to be 35 first. So president, once he turns 35.
I don't know. They're breaking a lot of rules right now. Maybe. No, I'm kidding. I think it's being open, being willing to move with the flow of life. Because if you had told me that at 19 I was going to become chief of staff or district director to a member of the Fort Worth City Council, 18 at the time, I would have told you no. If you would have told me that I would have had the opportunity to work on the campaigns that I worked on, making the kind of money I was making at that respective age, I would have told you no. And if you would have told me that I would now be 23 and serving as the deputy chief for the Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, I would have told you no. Like, to all of these things, I would have told you no, because I was the kid that growing up, I had everything written out. I said, by this age, I want to do this. This age, I want to do this. I knew that I was going to law school. I knew that I was going to practice law, like corporate law. I was going to make big money. I was going to be chilling in my condo. I was going to have a great life, stress-free life. But again, every opportunity that I've been fortunate to have or have been blessed to have has been just by me being, I won't say right place, right time, but it has been me showing up, one, as my authentic self, being very genuine when it comes to building relationships with individuals, but also me being willing to trust the process and say, you know what, I'm going to do this. And if it doesn't work, I can always go and reinvent myself. When I went to work for Jared, I had worked on Jared's campaign, and election night, he had won. And for people that know the story, or may not know the story, Jared was losing that night. He was running against a 16-year or 12-year, one of the ones, but running against a long-term incumbent. And that night was down up until about 10. The first vote returns came in about 7 p.m., but was down all night until about 10:30 p.m., and then was up by a handful of votes. Then just kept going up and going up and going up. And so he comes to me and he's like, "Hey, you're going to work for me in my council office." I'm just like, "You're crazy," because I'm in undergrad at the time. I didn't need money. I had scholarships paying for school. Like, I had a car that was like my granddad had bought for me. I was like, I thought it was good. But again, I said yes to the opportunity because again, my thing is, if it goes wrong, if it doesn't work out, that's fine. But I said yes to that opportunity, not knowing that through like Jared and through my service on the council that would have me end up in D.C. September 2021, bump into then State Representative Jasmine Crockett, who was preparing to launch her campaign for Congress, allow me to build that relationship with her, to where she then calls me in March of 2022 when she is getting ready to go into her runoff, and she says, "Hey, I need you on this runoff campaign." And then that leads to her winning in May of 2022. And then she's like, "Hey, I want you to come to DC with me." And so again, like we talk a lot about, and for anyone who may be spiritual or religious, we talk a lot about like ordered steps. These steps have been ordered, but they were ordered unknown to me. And so I think again, it has come because I have continued to just say, hey, like, I am someone who, like, what you get is or what you see is what you get. But like, I have taken every opportunity to like really, one, be authentic and genuine in building that relationship, like maintaining that relationship. So like, definitely, like, to anyone that's watching, like, make sure that you're doing that. Make sure that you're fostering those relationships and those people that you have an opportunity to meet. Invite them to coffee, like, set up a virtual conversation with them, like, get everything you can to truly like learn from that individual. But when those opportunities come about, even if they don't seem like in that moment align with what you want to do, like, don't be afraid to take that, because you never know what that's going to materialize into. And the last thing that I would say is, you're never too young to start doing something or to have a seat at the table. And I think that was the biggest thing for me at a younger age, because again, I was, in 2017, 13, 14, working on a campaign, on a city council campaign. I was, when I worked on my first political action committee, getting paid, a consulting fee, like, I was 15, like, but it's spaces that I was like, I'm not supposed to be in these spaces, or I was in those spaces, but I wasn't really thriving in those spaces because I continued to operate with a certain level of doubting myself.
The imposter syndrome.
Yeah. And so I just think when you're in these spaces, recognizing that you get invited to these spaces for a reason.
Yeah.
Even if you don't understand it, even if you don't believe it's supposed to be there, you're there for a reason. So operate at max capacity while you in it and kill it. And that's going to boil into you having an overflow of so many other great opportunities that will sustain you and will build you and give you this career of, you know, being a political or an elected official or whatever you want to do. So
that's right, Kendyll. Wise words from future doctor, Kendyll Locke, Life of KD.
The Honorable. I joke with him all the time. The Honorable.
The Honorable.
Councilman.
Mr. Locke, I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
You've made some great points today. And I just want to conclude on that last point about it's not an accident that you're in the position that you're in. Regardless of your age, God has put you there to serve. God has put you there, and he's going to keep you, and he's going to keep uplifting you, because we need people like you to help us move this country forward in the right direction. So I want to thank you for your service. I want to thank you for coming on the podcast. Thank you for the conversation.
Absolutely.
And for inspiring other young people just like me. I'm a few years older than you. I'm your big brother, but you inspire me every day. So, Kendyll, appreciate you, man.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming on, and we'll have you back soon.
Absolutely. We're going to make it happen.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
Yes, sir.
Thank you guys again for joining on the Fair Play Politics podcast, a conversation or conversations with Junior Ezeonu. I really appreciate y'all tuning in. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Take care. God bless.